I've seen and done some crazy stuff while I was in Japan, like a World War II chemical weapons facility that was overrun by the rabbits that they were testing on, a park in Nara that has a bunch of wild deer that come up to you and you can feed them biscuits. I mean, I've seen actual literal nuclear ruins. You can actually go there in Hiroshima, and there's a building called the Atomic Bomb Dome. It's in Ground Zero. It must have survived because the roof is just a dome. It's half collapsed. I remember I remember rounding the corner and thinking, "Oh my God, like this is a real thing." And some people when they're nervous, they start laughing. I'm somewhat like that. Like I'm not saying that I started breaking out laughing because I turned the corner. It's like, well, nuclear ruins. Like I was really trying to fight back the nervous grin of like, oh God, look what this is. Really, there's just no shortage of things to do in Japan. Everything just happens to be animal slash location. So you have Deer Park, Deer Island, Owl Cafe, Cat Cafe. All of these things I've been to. And of course they have anime, which attracts some pretty interesting people. Like I'm not going to judge or anything, but there was this one guy in the temple district of Tokyo, Sakusa, where they have that giant lantern at Kaminarimon. So here's this guy with a katana strapped to his back. He's maybe in his early 20s. He's wearing lime green track pants like Ricky from Trailer Park Boys. He's got a neon orange tank top on. And there's all these people. They're trying to come home from work. Like they've had a long day. It's stressful. I mean, it's Japanese working conditions. And he's just strolling down the street with a katana on his back. Honestly, the guy didn't look like he was able to hold down a job. So I don't know how he got the money to actually get all the way to Japan. You can't hire someone who's gonna go out into public carrying a katana. So then you have the other kinds of tourists who are just kind of there to party. Maybe they're gap year kids. I was staying at a hostel in Osaka, and there were some Irish people and a guy from Mexico City. And the guy from Mexico, he was basically babysitting the Irish guys the whole time. Like they'd get into so much trouble. They stayed out all night until like maybe 4 a.m. And the guy who was running the bar, like he wanted to close, but in Japan, you don't close the bar if there's still people there. You just assume that they're going to be polite enough to leave. So eventually he actually mans up and kicks them out. And this one guy, he is so wasted. So I'm asleep. I hear them coming in and they get into their bunk beds because it's a hostel. I hear them singing Carly Rae Jepsen's "Hey, I Just Met You and This Is Crazy." So I'm like, okay, well, they're just waking people up. They're drunk, whatever. I fall back asleep. I wake up maybe a half hour later to one of the guys saying, "Hey, don't get your piss and shit on me." So what I guess happened is that Buddy on the top bunk lost control of his bladder. Evidently, from what I heard the morning after, he urinated all over his pocket contents, which included his passport. Like, honestly, I really wish that I knew what came of that because he was tearing pages out. All the pages, he's like, I must have fell in a puddle or something because all of my passport pages are ruined. Honestly, though, other than those few examples, you don't really get people like that in Japan. Most of the guys that go there are really into the culture. They're not like partiers. They're not really weird. They just kind of like they're educated. If you've ever wanted to go to Japan, but maybe you're afraid of the language barrier or the crowds or the cost, maybe you don't know where to go, well, let me break it down for you. So, of course, there's tons of people everywhere at all times. Like, that's a given. But a lot of them are going to be at work during the day. Also, you got to remember that everything in Japan is about convenience. If you were going to work 12-hour days for your entire life, maybe 6, even 7 days a week, you're going to want to come home and have everything be real convenient for you. So everything just works. The trains just work. Products just work. Customer service is impeccable. So sure, you might be surrounded by people all day, but you're not really going to notice it like, let's say, New York, where the train doesn't always accept your money. I've seen locals not get on the train because their tickets just won't work. And then the cost isn't really that bad either. Unless you're going to be eating fruit, then it's actually going to be cheaper. Meat is really cheap. As long as you're eating rice dishes, local vegetables, not like Western vegetables, yeah, it's going to be fine. The real problem is if you're going to eat a lot of fruit like watermelons and apples. They tend to pick just the best ones and only sell the best ones. Like they won't sell you anything that's got like a bruise on it. I've bought an entire meal of meat with rice, just Yoshinoya, Sukiya. They're fast food restaurants, and it's cost me 300 yen, which is I think $3. And you don't have to worry about finding a hotel that's right in the middle of all of the action. The train lines go so far out into the middle of nowhere. You could probably just get a hotel room anywhere in the Tokyo metropolitan area and it'll be fine. The train just runs everywhere. For example, I stayed in Osaka on my second trip and I would just take the JR line, the Shinkansen bullet train, just everywhere on day trips. Now, the real problem is the language barrier. In Tokyo and maybe Osaka, that's fine. You're going to be able to find at least somebody who speaks English at some point. But it's when you really get into rural areas, like, for example, when I was going to the Rabbit Island, which is where they had the World War II chemical weapons facility, that's really far in the middle of nowhere. Like, I had to take multiple trains and then a ferry to get there. So I do recommend learning at least a couple basic phrases. And before I forget, I should probably mention that they'll teach you that the word for bathroom is toire, as in like toilet. It is not. Or if it is, it's not polite. It's actually oterai, which is a hand washing place. O meaning honorable, te meaning hand, and arai is from arao, the verb to wash. So it's a lot more polite than saying toilet. Like, imagine going to somebody in an English-speaking country and saying, hey, where's the toilet? Or I suppose in the UK and maybe Australia, that might be fine. But like, you say that in America or Canada, and it's like, wait, washroom, restroom, you know what I mean. Learning Japanese is a real rabbit hole. It is very different than English. It's kind of like the words are ordered like Yoda. If you want to say the dog ate the meat or the dog eats the meat, it would be the dog, the meat it eats. 犬は肉を食べる. And when you're learning European languages like Spanish or German, there's always some words that kind of are similar to English. They say that Japanese has like a lot of words that come from English, but really they don't use them. It goes back to the whole toire versus oterai kind of thing. And I mean, the writing system's an obvious one. I don't need to get into that. The major issue is, when are you ever going to use it? Unless you're actually going to be living in Japan for a while or continuously visiting it, I really don't recommend putting the effort into learning it. But if you are going to Japan, I really actually do recommend you learning it. Because it's not like going to Denmark and then trying to learn Danish and everyone already knows how to speak perfect English and you're never going to use it. They do learn English in Japan at school, but a lot of them don't ever need to use it because everything's already translated into Japanese. So all the media is made in Japan. There's really no reason for them to know English. And don't make the same mistake that I made on my first trip and just stay mostly in Tokyo. It's a nice city and all. Like, I've been there 3 times, but there's a lot more to see than just that. I actually do think that most of the best tourist attractions are centered around Kansai, like Osaka, Kyoto, Himeji Castle, things like that. And yeah, if you've already been to Japan, then just leave a comment and like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.